Hello everyone, welcome to Kansas Future. What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? If you thought the end of season drama was over, think again. Patrick Mahomes is on the injury report, and fans are already asking, will he play against the Texans? And to spice things up even more, Travis Kelce is tackling the NFL's craziest game stretch with his signature humor and confidence. Will Taylor Swift make an appearance to cheer him on? Don't miss a single detail of these stories. Be sure to smash that like button to support the channel. Let's dive in. Alright, Chiefs fans, here's the update on Patrick Mahomes and his status for Saturday's game against the Texans. Week 16's injury report raised some eyebrows with Mahomes' name on it. But hold on, no need to panic just yet. Our star QB hurt his ankle during last week's win against the Browns, which caused him to miss the end of the game. Even so, the situation doesn't seem too alarming. Mahomes was listed as a full participant in Tuesday's practice, a great sign that he's likely to suit up on Saturday. Still, it's clear he won't be at 100%. With Kansas City battling for the coveted number 1 seed in the AFC, the debate over resting Mahomes for at least one of the final 3 regular season games has already begun. The Chiefs' schedule doesn't make it easy, with games on Saturday and again on Christmas, just 4 days later. Head coach Andy Reid, in classic Reid fashion, didn't fully commit when asked about Mahomes' availability, but made it clear he trusts veteran Carson Wentz if needed. We'll see how Pat does in practice. He's going to go through some things and we'll see how he reacts. If he can't go, Carson will take the reps. We have total confidence in Carson if he needs to step in and play. I think both the coaches and players trust he'll do a great job, Reid said. Meanwhile, Bleacher Report insider James Palmer offered some hope to the fanbase. In a post on X, formerly Twitter, he mentioned that the expectation within the Chiefs is for Mahomes to try to play against the Texans. Will he be 100%? Obviously not. But as things stand now, and we'll see how the week unfolds, the plan is for him to play Saturday against the Texans, Palmer said. The matchup is set for 2 p.m. CT in Kansas City, marking the Chiefs' final home game of the regular season. Buckle up, fans, because all signs point to Mahomes playing. What do you think, Chiefs Kingdom? Should Mahomes play even if he's not 100%, or would it be better to rest our star? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this interesting, wait until you hear what Kelce said about playing on Christmas. It's even more surprising. While some NFL players are complaining about the tight schedule and having to play on Christmas, Travis Kelce, the charismatic Chiefs tight end, seems completely unfazed. On the latest episode of his podcast, New Heights, Kelce not only highlighted how much he loves being on the field, but also shared how he's tackling this insane stretch of games with a positive mindset. Man, I'm pumped, honestly. Now, my body, well, it's not as excited about running routes and handling the game plan in practice, Kelce joked. But you know what? I'll play anywhere, anytime. I'm just so lucky to be able to do this. The likely future Hall of Famer made it clear he has no interest in complaining about the packed schedule. I'm going to embrace every opportunity to get on the field. I'm not going to sit here whining about the calendar we were given. It's part of the game. And he's not wrong to think that way. The Chiefs face the Texans this Saturday, followed by the Steelers just 4 days later. A stretch like this can be grueling, especially for a 35-year-old veteran, but Kelce is taking it all in stride with his signature confidence. Kansas City is still in the hunt for the AFC's number 1 seed, so there's no room for slowing down. I accept the challenge, Kelce stated, with the kind of leadership tone fans love. If we come out of this stretch with 3 wins, we're going to be so much more confident. Facing the best in the AFC week after week is exactly what we want. And as if all the excitement surrounding these games wasn't enough, there are rumors that Travis's girlfriend, none other than Taylor Swift, might make an appearance at Arrowhead. The pop star just wrapped up her record-breaking Eras tour, which raked in an astonishing $2 billion. This could be the perfect time for her to support her man up close. If this isn't a movie-worthy end to the year, I don't know what is. Look, fans, it's tough not to worry about Mahomes, but that's the dilemma. Rest him now or risk the number 1 seed. As for Kelce, he's a true leader. While some complain about the schedule, he's out there motivating everyone. It's like a scene straight out of a movie. Ladies and gentlemen, let me paint a picture for you. Imagine one of the most electrifying forces in the entire NFL, a generational talent who turns every game into a spectacle. Now stepping into a high-stakes battle, not at full strength, not even close. This is no ordinary quarterback. This is the man whose name strikes fear into defenses, whose arm defies physics, whose legacy already stands as a cornerstone of this era. And now he's staring down the barrel of adversity, a lingering injury, a team teetering on the edge of postseason dominance, and a fan base holding its collective breath. Will he rise once again to defy the odds, or are we witnessing the beginnings of a story no one wants to tell? Stay with me, because what we're about to dive into could redefine the trajectory of the AFC playoff race, the Kansas City Chiefs, and maybe even the very fabric of this NFL season. Now, let's talk about the situation. If you're a fan of the game, scratch that. If you're alive and breathing, you understand just how much is riding on this. Patrick Mahomes, the man we've all come to know as the Wizard of the Gridiron, is reportedly preparing to step onto the field this Saturday against the Houston Texans. But here's the kicker. He's not 100%, not even close. And you've got to ask yourself, why is this man even thinking about playing in a game like this? Is it about cementing his legacy? Is it about making sure his team doesn't lose the number 1 seed in the AFC? Or, dare I say, is it about something deeper, something personal? James Palmer is out here telling us what we all suspected. The Chiefs are optimistic, cautiously optimistic, that Mahomes will suit up and lead this team. But hold on a second, because optimism doesn't win you games, and it certainly doesn't heal high ankle sprains overnight. Let's not forget this is the same Mahomes who, just a few years ago, played through an ankle injury that had fans questioning his humanity. The man has grit, no doubt about it. But grit alone isn't enough to secure that coveted first-round bye, and Kansas City needs that bye. Don't let the playoff spot fool you. The AFC is an absolute war zone right now, and every edge counts. Here's where it gets interesting. Mahomes was a full participant in practice yesterday. That's right, a full participant. But let's not sugarcoat this, folks. Being a full participant on a light day of practice is like saying you're ready to run a marathon because you walked to the fridge without limping. I don't doubt his toughness, I never would. But toughness isn't the issue here. The issue is whether he can be Patrick Mahomes, the improviser, the magician, the man who makes plays that look like they were drawn up on a Madden controller. And don't even get me started on this ankle injury comparison. Mahomes himself said this isn't as bad as the one against the Jaguars a few years back. But let me ask you this. Do you trust that? Because I sure don't. Not because he's lying, but because this is Mahomes. The man could have a bone sticking out of his leg, and he'd still find a way to spin it into something positive. That's who he is, and that's why he's beloved. But optimism doesn't change the reality of the situation. And the reality is, he's risking a lot by stepping onto that field. Let's talk numbers. The stats paint a picture, but they don't tell the whole story. Mahomes has played 14 games this season, completing 66.7% of his passes for 3,048 yards, 22 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. Solid numbers, right? But let's not gloss over that 11 interception stat. It's uncharacteristic for him. It's a red flag. And you've got to wonder if that's already a sign of wear and tear. A sign that he's not operating at the level we've come to expect. Add this ankle injury into the mix, and suddenly those numbers don't just represent his season, they represent the burden he's carrying into this game. Kansas City has everything to lose here. Let's not sugarcoat it. They've clinched a playoff spot, sure, but this is about more than just making the postseason. This is about maintaining dominance, about sending a message to the rest of the league that the road to the Super Bowl still runs through Arrowhead. But if Mahomes isn't at his best, if he falters even slightly, that message becomes garbled. It becomes noise, and in a conference as stacked as the AFC, noise doesn't cut it. You've also got to consider the long game here. Mahomes is 29 years old, he's in the prime of his career no doubt, but he's also human. This isn't just about Saturday's game, it's about the next 10 years of Chiefs football. The man signed a 10-year, $503 million extension, for crying out loud. That's a $500 million investment in one player. Do you really want to risk that investment for a regular season game, even one as important as this? And let me be clear, this isn't just about the Chiefs. This is about the league as a whole. Mahomes isn't just a player, he's a brand. He's the face of the NFL. When he's on the field, ratings go up, seats fill up, and kids across the country start dreaming of being the next Patrick Mahomes. The NFL needs him, plain and simple. While I'm all for competitive spirit, I've got to wonder if someone, anyone, in that Chiefs organization is willing to step up and say, hey, maybe we should think this through. But let's not kid ourselves, Mahomes is going to play. That's who he is. He's a competitor to his core, and when he steps onto that field, you know he's going to give everything he's got. The question is, will that be enough? Because as much as we like to romanticize the idea of the injured hero rising to the occasion, the reality is often far less glamorous. The Texans may not be the strongest team in the league, but this is the NFL. Any team can win on any given day. And if Mahomes isn't at 100%, you better believe Houston is going to exploit that. This is the kind of story that reminds you why we love football. It's not just about the stats or the highlights. It's about the drama, the stakes, the human element. Patrick Mahomes is more than a quarterback. He's a symbol of what makes this game great. But greatness comes with a price. And right now, Mahomes is staring that price in the face. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's dive into what this means. Not just for Patrick Mahomes, not just for the Kansas City Chiefs, but for the entire landscape of the NFL. Because if you think this is just another quarterback fighting through an injury, you're not paying attention. This is about legacy, about momentum, about what happens when an unstoppable force meets the immovable pressures of professional football. Let's start with the stakes. The Chiefs are fighting to hold on to that precious number 1 seed in the AFC. Why does that matter so much? Let me break it down for you. The first round bye isn't just a luxury, it's a weapon. It's extra rest, extra preparation, and most importantly, one less game to play in the most grueling tournament in all of sports. Do you think Mahomes doesn't know that? Of course he does. He knows his chances of hoisting that Lombardi trophy increase dramatically if he can secure that bye. And that's why he's willing to put it all on the line. But here's the thing. It's a double-edged sword. Sure, playing on Saturday might help the Chiefs secure that top spot, but at what cost? Let's not forget, football isn't a game of guarantees. One wrong step, one bad hit, and that ankle could go from not as bad as the Jaguars game to a season-ending disaster. And then what? The Chiefs wouldn't just lose their quarterback, they'd lose their identity, their leader, their spark. Now let's talk about the Texans for a second. On paper, they might not pose much of a threat, but if you've been around this league long enough, you know better than to underestimate any opponent. Houston has nothing to lose, and teams with nothing to lose are dangerous. They're going to throw everything they've got at Mahomes. Blitzes, exotic coverages, you name it. They know he's not 100%, and they're going to test him every chance they get. Now, think about the psychological aspect of this. Mahomes isn't just dealing with physical pain. He's dealing with the weight of expectation. He's the leader of this team, the face of the franchise, the man everyone looks to when the chips are down. That's a heavy burden to carry, even for someone as extraordinary as Mahomes. When you add in the injury, the stakes, and the pressure, you've got a recipe for either an unforgettable performance or a heartbreaking collapse. But here's what makes Mahomes different. This isn't just a player who's good under pressure. This is a player who thrives under pressure. We've seen it time and time again. The no-look passes, the fourth quarter comebacks, the moments that make you shake your head and say, how did he do that? That's what makes this story so compelling. Because even with all the odds stacked against him, you can't help but believe Mahomes will find a way. And yet, the Chiefs coaching staff has a responsibility here. Andy Reid is one of the greatest coaches of all time. No question about it. But even the best coaches can get caught up in the moment, in the allure of chasing greatness. Reid has to ask himself a tough question. Is it worth it? Is it worth risking the long-term health of a star quarterback for a regular season game? Because as much as we all love a good story, the reality is that Mahomes' career is far from over. This isn't about one game, it's about the next decade. Let's take a step back and look at the bigger picture. Mahomes is 29 years old. He's already accomplished more than most players could dream of in an entire career. A Super Bowl MVP, a regular season MVP, and a 10-year, $503 million contract. He's a walking, talking Hall of Famer in the making. But here's the thing about greatness. It's not just about what you've done. It's about what you continue to do. And if Mahomes wants to be remembered as one of the greatest of all time, he's going to need longevity. He's going to need to stay healthy. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. It's just an ankle injury. He'll be fine. But let me remind you, this isn't a video game. This is real life. And in real life, injuries have a way of lingering, of compounding, of turning into something far worse than they initially seemed. One bad hit, one awkward landing, and suddenly that minor injury becomes a major problem. And then there's the emotional toll. Mahomes is a competitor, no doubt about it, but he's also human. And when you're dealing with an injury, it's not just your body that's affected, it's your mind. You start second-guessing yourself. You start wondering if you can still make those plays, still be the player everyone expects you to be. And when you're Mahomes, the stakes are even higher, because you're not just playing for yourself, you're playing for your team, your city, your legacy. But let's not get it twisted. If anyone can rise to the occasion, it's Mahomes. This is a man who's built his career on defying expectations, on doing the impossible. And if he steps onto that field on Saturday, you better believe he's going to give everything he's got. The question is, will it be enough? Because let's face it, the Texans aren't the real enemy here. The real enemy is time. Time to heal, time to rest, time to recover. Right now, Mahomes doesn't have that time. He's being asked to perform at a high level with an injury that would sideline most players. And while I have no doubt he'll give it his all, I can't help but wonder if it's the right call. In the end, this story isn't just about football, it's about resilience, about sacrifice, about what it means to be great. Patrick Mahomes is more than a quarterback. He's an icon, a legend in the making, and whether he plays on Saturday or not, one thing is clear. His legacy is far from finished. Chiefs Kingdom for all the latest updates, and to stay on top of every big play, hit like, subscribe, and tap the video showing up in the middle of the screen. Let's keep the momentum going.